Look at me, filming a video, feeling much better. I know I told you in my last video that I was going to try to upload the rest of last week, but that did not happen. I still wasn't feeling very well and I didn't want to force myself to film, but I'm feeling a lot better now, so I'm filming a video. Hey y'all, I am back and I know I just filmed one of these videos, but I have more of your guys' paranormal stories that I'm very scared to read. I was on the subreddit and I was looking for Let's Not Meet stories, but I found these instead and I really want to read them, so we're going to have two back-to-back paranormal videos. I'm not sorry. I don't really have anything else to say, so we're gonna get right into this. I have to show you guys this one first because this blew my fucking mind. It's a very short story, but I have a video to show you guys. The title of it said, "Linked video of a real ghost." They said, "Hi Courtney, I absolutely love your videos. This just happened about a week ago and I thought I would share it with you. My sister's boyfriend works at a desk job doing computer programming and things like that. One of his company's clients had truck drivers that were delivering something to Alabama. The two truck drivers were driving just like normal, and all of a sudden they see a woman crossing the road that they were driving on. They thought they hit her, so they pulled over, stopped, and called 911 immediately. They stepped out of the truck and saw absolutely no one there." I'm gonna finish this first, but I can't wait for you guys to see the video of it because it's mind-blowing. Oh my god, it's so crazy and I can't wait to watch it again. They were glad they didn't hurt somebody, but also super confused as to what they just witnessed. The police that responded to their 911 call found nothing as well. Later on, they checked the dashcam footage of the company truck, and you can see that their truck literally passed through a girl who was wearing a tattered fancy dress, no shoes, and a black backpack. Now get this. About 10 years ago, there was a girl who was walking home after prom wearing a prom dress and a black backpack, and she got hit by a car and sadly died in Alabama, right where this whole incident occurred. On my sister's boyfriend's computer monitor, you can see the details way better, which is even scarier, but I had him convert the file and send it to my phone so I could share it with you. And if you want to use it in a video, go ahead. So here's the video. Beware, it's really freaky. I still haven't been able to stop watching it. And so I'm gonna play the video really quick. Are you fucking, you have to be absolutely fucking joking me. That is one of the most unbelievable things I have ever seen in my entire life. I'm gonna play it again. I watched it and I was like, I didn't believe it at first. I was like, that has to be a real person. It looks like a human being. It looks like a whole ass person. But the fact that they pulled over and there was nothing there, and then the whole prom story, oh my god. My mind cannot comprehend. But I just thought that one was absolutely crazy, and that was really short, but I really needed to show you that. I just needed to get that out of the way. Thank you so much for sending that to me. I can't believe it. What are the fucking chances that this happens and then you happen to watch my videos? I'm so thankful because I needed to see that in my life. Okay, and this next story says, "A demon was haunting my dorm and attacked me." So this year is my senior year at college and it's been going really great. I study music, and aside from learning so much about the music industry, the friends I've made have taught me so much about spirituality and the supernatural. Hi, Rumble. My sophomore year, I made friends with this girl named Caitlin because she was friends with my roommate, Courtney. Caitlin has always been really into the supernatural, and the first time I hung out with her, she asked if I'd ever used a Ouija board. I had never touched one or even been in the same room as one because they scared me. Days prior, her and her boyfriend had bought a house down the road from the college, and they had used the board to see if there was a ghost in the house. There was. His name is B. He still hangs out to this day, and he's honestly really nice. Hearing about B being kind and a good spirit to talk to eased me into at least watching my friends use the board. I'm gonna lower you down a little bit. Caitlin used the board around me a lot and would make sure I was holding protective crystals, and the board was always cleansed and protective candles were always lit. Eventually, I got really comfortable using it and being around it. Flash forward to my senior year and I'm living with a great friend of mine, Kylie, who's a huge fan of your channel. She brought her board and one day she asked if we wanted to use it. I had told her that the year prior, Courtney and I used it in our dorm to see if somebody else was there, and there was. Turns out her older sister, Katie, knew one of the ghosts when they were alive, and she stayed in the apartment after she graduated because she liked me and Courtney. When Kylie asked if I wanted to use the board, I expected to talk to Jill, the girl that Katie knew. However, in the apartment, no one answered. Kylie and I really wanted to talk to someone, so we ultimately ended up going to the West Campus Community Center to use it. Very quickly, we made contact with somebody, and he told us his name was PJ. He went to our college in 2004, was a mass communication major, and played on the baseball team. We ended up talking to him for a few hours, and he seemed like a really cool guy. The next day, I went to one of the mass comm professors and asked if he remembered PJ, and he did. Kylie and I also dug into the school's old yearbooks and found photos of him on the baseball team. All the information he gave us lined up. That's fucking insane. Can I just say that? That's absolutely incredible. Like, because I want to say this really fast. When Kayla and I would talk to T all the time, she gave us so much information, but we were never actually able to figure out who she was. And I had so many people send me like different articles and different obituaries of people that it could possibly be. And I know I made a couple of videos where I was like, could this possibly be T? And I named off different people, which now that I look at it, was very disrespectful. But it's crazy that you guys were able to find out who exactly he was, like exactly who he was by all the information he gave you. That's insane. After talking to him a few times, he ended up following us back to our apartment to hang out, which was fine at first. One night we opened the board wanting to talk to him, and he answered. We had gotten very used to how PJ felt, so we knew it was him. Previously, he had explained to us that since the college is across the street from a hospital, a lot of angry ghosts that didn't want to die haunt the school. Sometimes he would take a minute to answer because they were bothering him, but he always felt very unique, so we could tell when it wasn't him or when he was struggling to keep control of the board. Oh my god, the same shit would happen to me and Kayla. I hate this story because it's so relatable to Kayla and I, and it's so fucking, like, I've said insane like 10 times, but it's insane! After a few minutes of talking to him, someone else took control of the planchette. They lied about being PJ, and my arm started burning. It was a feeling I'd never felt before, and I was terrified. Kylie also felt awful, so we said goodbye and sat in the living room in silence for a minute. Soon after we said goodbye, out of the corner of my eye, I saw a full-body apparition walk into my roommate's room. I quickly decided to go to bed, hoping a night's sleep would keep me sane. I don't know how you slept after that. And did your roommate see it? Like, did you tell your roommate? After about 5 minutes in bed, I heard my door banging. PJ had previously told us that for ghosts to go through walls, it's extremely painful. So I just told myself that I accidentally locked him in mine and Kylie's room. Oh my god, wait, do you sleep in the same room? So you saw the apparition walk into both of your bedrooms and you're sleeping in there? Like, okay. I sleep on the top bunk, and to be honest, I was scared to get out of bed. So I texted Kylie and told her I locked PJ in and asked her to open the door. Immediately after, I saw a dark shadow move across the wall and heard knocking on Kylie's closet. Kylie then swung the door open and yelled, "I'm turning on the lights." She told me she had heard a loud bang in Courtney's room. Oh wait, so you all live together? I'm really confused right now. So I think they live with like multiple people. Oh yeah, she told me she heard a loud bang in Courtney's room, the same room I saw somebody walk into earlier. Courtney was approved by the school to have an emotional support animal in the dorms, so Kylie had checked the whole apartment looking for the cat. She was asleep in the bathroom on the complete opposite side of the apartment. Kylie and I were also home alone. That night, Kylie and I slept in the same bed with the lights on. I would do the same thing. A couple days later, I contacted my sister, who was also super into this stuff. She assumed it was that famous internet demon, Zozo. She ended up performing a banishing ritual and put my name and all of my roommates' names in a jar for protection for whatever spell she was casting. It worked for a little bit. I'd forgotten to mention this earlier, but since the first night PJ came over, I could feel him laying on my legs at night. It wasn't a sensation I was bothered by, because I'd always felt things like this at night since I was little. I've always been sensitive to the supernatural and would always see and hear people on the other side trying to contact me. After my sister did the whole banishing thing, I stopped feeling him at night. A couple days later, we called Caitlin, told her what happened, and she came over. She whipped out all the stops for protection that she could think of and started using automated writing to talk to whoever was here. Initially, B answered. He had followed her from her house because he's a whore for attention and he wouldn't let anyone else talk. He literally kept spelling out ACAB. Eventually, we decided that Caitlin would talk to B to distract him and I would try and talk to PJ. We came up with a symbol that B would write in case I wasn't talking to PJ anymore. PJ would talk to me very shortly. I would ask him questions that I knew only him and I knew the answers to, and he would get them right. I would only get to talk to him for a minute before B would draw our symbol. However, I did have the time to ask him why I wasn't feeling his presence. He wrote out, "You wanted us gone." B then drew our symbol. PJ was not strong enough to keep control, and this other thing kept taking it from him. Eventually, B told us the other thing's name. It was Casey. Apparently, Casey was a demon that was connected to PJ, and that's why he couldn't keep control. Turns out PJ was stuck wandering the campus in an attempt to keep Casey away from me. We then started talking about how to banish her from our dorms. She did not like that. Very shortly after this discussion started, I began to struggle breathing. I felt fingers on my throat, and I also felt very angry. I'm not an angry person. I mean, I'm the typical, I'm gay and living in 2020 America while Trump is trying to take away my rights by packing the Supreme Court. It's not funny. It's not funny. It's not funny, but it's like Very true. And I'm the typical I'm gay 2020 type of angry, but this was a different type of anger. I didn't want to speak to my friends because I didn't know what I would say, so I just started crying. Caitlin quickly started boiling sage, cinnamon, juniper, and other herbs for protection. Kylie and I started calling it ghost tea. After myself and the apartment were cleansed, I felt far better, but Casey was still there. I didn't know how to explain this, but I saw 2 white smoke-looking things chasing a black one towards the door. It felt like PJ and B were trying to chase Casey out like I had asked. All night after this, I would feel hands grip on my shoulders, and I would feel someone else pulling them off of me. Oh my god! About a week later, Kylie and I went over to Caitlin's house to end this once and for all. She did all the usual cleansing things, and we opened the board. B came through immediately because, as I said, he loves talking to people, and we were also in his house. We ultimately learned that Casey was using PJ as a puppet. That's why it felt so normal talking to him at first, because it was actually him. When Casey caught on to us using the board, albeit a little too frequently, she started using PJ. She had made a connection with me because I was the easiest to do so with. Kylie also told me the week prior, when I went to New York to visit family, they used the board again to talk to B and PJ. Apparently, PJ took control of the planchette and would not let anyone else use it. For about 10 minutes straight, he refused to answer any questions. He just kept spelling out, "Help Carly." Casey had followed me to New York. While I was there, I felt weird things happening and heard strange things at night, but I just chalked it up to my family's animals being loud. However, while I was there, I kept having nightmares of an abusive relationship I was in 6 years ago. I had just figured it was because I had returned to the town it happened in, so I tried to ignore it. As it turns out, Casey was the one triggering me. When we got to Caitlin's, we opened the board. After a minute or so, B wasn't coming through anymore. It was Casey. She kept spelling out "Mama." And we never did figure out exactly why, but we assumed it was because one of my friend's mother had passed away years ago and Casey was trying to further manipulate us. I ended up taking a bath in all sorts of witchy herbs. Don't ask me what, because I honestly don't know. I just followed Caitlin's lead because I had no clue what to do about this. While I was in the bath, my heart started racing and I kept hearing in my head, "I hate you, I will kill you, I will never leave you," over and over again. I knew it was Casey. During the time I was in the bath, I texted Kylie and Caitlin and told them Casey was in there with me. I told them to use this opportunity to talk to B to see what the next step should be. At this point, I didn't trust my own thoughts, and I most certainly didn't trust PJ. Everyone I talked to told me that PJ and Casey were the same person, and I started to believe them despite how badly I wanted PJ to be good. This is literally my situation with T, like, to a T. Kylie and Caitlin opened the board again while I was in the bath, and B came through. He had explained everything to them and what he was watching her do. Essentially, she was an angry ghost who had died in the hospital, and since then succumbed to her anger and became what she is now. After that night, there hasn't been much activity in the dorm. I sleep with several protective crystals in my pillowcase, and I have since stopped using the Ouija board and automated writing. Although the other night, I did use the writing to ask B if it was safe for me to do so now because Casey's connection with me was severed. I also learned that her connection to PJ was severed. He then told me it wasn't safe for me to use the automated writing or the Ouija board because I'm so sensitive to the supernatural. I haven't tried to use either since then. B and PJ still hang out at our apartment and Kylie still talks to them through automated writing. Things have calmed down, but Casey is trapped at Caitlin's house. She's pretty pissed off. But since Caitlin literally does not care, Casey has essentially no power. Kylie and I went over to her house the other day just to hang out and we heard some loud footsteps, but nothing else. Hopefully things stay calm. Again, I don't know how to explain this without sounding crazy, but I still hear B and PJ talking to me in my head. They pretty much confirmed everything that's happened in the past couple of weeks, and honestly it's kind of comforting to know that PJ wasn't ever lying to us. That story blows my mind in every way possible, but it reminds me so much of T. Like, PJ reminds me so much of T. And I guess it gives me hope that maybe T was good all along and she was just connected to something bad. But then again, I don't know. I won't use the board again. I actually refuse to ever touch a Ouija board again in my life because I don't want to risk it. Things have finally calmed down for me. Like, I live in a new house. Nothing has happened here. No random remotes, okay? So I'm not risking it for myself. But it did remind me a lot of T, and I kind of miss her. But this next story says, my mom may have summoned a demon on our family before I was born. Let's go back to when I was maybe 5 or 6. I started having nightmares that my mom was trying to kill me, and in these nightmares she would always look really sinister and evil and always had a wicked smile on her face while she did it. Back then I was fairly close to my mom, and there was no real reason for me to have these nightmares. She wasn't abusive when I was a child, and I actually had a lot of separation anxiety with her and didn't like to be anywhere without her. These nightmares continued regularly every few nights or so, and when I was about 10, things started to get a little weirder. Regularly. regularly. I can't say that word. Now, an important note here is that we only ever lived in one house at this point in the story, so it definitely wasn't the house. It started small with things like doors being slammed, lights going out on their own or turning on, things completely disappearing into thin air, and then we started hearing footsteps, seeing shadows. My parents also both remember I spoke to several ghosts as a child, but I have no recollection of this today. My nightmares became worse and more detailed. They started to be about my mom standing with over 20 other women chanting something around a fire and then coming to kill me. It started to really bother me, and I wasn't watching scary movies at this time, so I didn't really understand. I told my mom about the nightmares, and she told me my dad was having similar nightmares, which he also confirmed later, and we talked about the stuff that had been happening in the house. She told me not to think about it or talk about it much, just to let it go and it would stop. I tried. It actually ended up getting worse. I'd wake up with scratches all over my legs, and so would my dad. There would be what looked like claw marks in the headboards of my bed that were too thick and too deep to be one of our pets. My dog started to freak out in the middle of the night. She'd bark at my bedroom door violently as if there was an intruder or something, waking all of us up in the middle of the night, and there was never anything there that we could see. My mom left me home alone one night, and my keyboard piano started playing on its own. I went into my room assuming it was my cat, but she wasn't there. And then my bed moved. It sank in the middle like somebody really heavy was sitting there, and it made a creaking sound while it sank. I ended up calling her and begging her to come home, which she did. She brought sage and holy water into my room and told her the priest gave them to her, and I asked why. She sat down and told me when she was younger she played a Ouija board with her brother and their cousins. None of them believed in the board, so they made jokes about it just being a toy, and the board got angry, and the planchette flew across the room and knocked over several things on a shelf. The power went out, and all the doors in the house slammed at the same time. They never said goodbye to the board, they just put it away and didn't touch it again. She then confessed to having done black magic in her late teens to try and contact dead loved ones, but wouldn't tell me what she did. She only told me never to do it and that black magic wasn't safe. She also told me that before I was born, when my brother was a baby, she heard several voices that sounded like a family in our basement always fighting, but she couldn't understand what they were saying. She said she sent them away and never heard them again. The holy water and sage in my room seemed to help temporarily, but started to pick up again a few months later. We all started to feel like someone was breathing on us while we slept. Sometimes I could feel a hand on my back, and my mom was pushed when she was sleeping. She heard someone shout her name, but nobody was there. We ended up moving, and the same things that happened over the years continued. The nightmares, the door slamming, the shadows, the breathing, the scratches, all of it. It wasn't until my parents separated and my mom moved out that it stopped completely, except for the nightmares. It's been almost 10 years since I lived with my mom, and I still have at least 3 of these nightmares a month. My most recent nightmare was literally her speaking to a woman who my mother told me was the devil, and then telling me the only way she could get what she needed was if I was dead. I couldn't go back to sleep after that one. I live in an apartment with my fiance now, and every once in a while when he's not home, I'll hear someone walk into whatever room I'm in, pause, and then walk out. Nothing more than that though, and it's the first thing other than the nightmares that's happened in years, so I've tried to brush it off as the neighbors or maybe the floor is just really weird. I don't really speak to my mother anymore for unrelated reasons, and I live over an hour away from her now, so I guess the positive to this story is that if she really does want to kill me, she won't be able to now. All of your guys' stories are so traumatizing. I'm so sorry. I am so fucking sorry. But that is all I'm going to read for now. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you have more stories that you would like to share with me or the community, I will have the subreddit link down below. I will also have my email down below if you're not able to post on the subreddit for some reason. I will have a Let's Not Meet video up later this week, I promise. I'm sorry if this bothered you having 2 back-to-back paranormal videos. I know you guys like it when I switch it up. But I just couldn't not share that ghost video with you guys, and these other 2 stories were absolutely insane, but I had to show you that ghost video because once I saw it, I knew I had to share it with y'all. But other than that, I'm gonna go. I love y'all. I will see you in the next one. Bye! I locked Rumble and Timo in here with me while I'm filming, and they were fighting this entire video. They were not fighting, but play fighting, and they are loud. They are loud little bitches, and now I gotta let them free so they can stop bugging me. But okay, see ya!